All right, let's peel back the curtain on the technology you use every single day, because I bet you don't know the wild story behind it all. We're talking Cold War paranoia, a bunch of mad scientists, and one single moment in space that, believe it or not, changed absolutely everything. So think about this for a second. Your GPS, right? The internet, which you're obviously using right now, and even the AI in your smart speaker. What could they all possibly have in common? Well, the answer is pretty wild. They can all trace their origins back to this one crazy, high-stakes moment in history when the entire United States basically looked up at the sky and had a collective panic attack. Yeah, a shock from space. Let's set this scene. We are deep in the Cold War. It's this super tense tech race between the US and the Soviet Union. And then, bam, 1957, the Soviets pull a move that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launches Sputnik 1. And this little beeping ball orbiting the Earth sends this huge wave of panic across America. It was seen as a major technological failure for the US. So President Eisenhower, he decides, nope, never again. He acts fast. The very next year, 1958, he creates a brand new agency, the Advanced Research Project Agency, or ARPA. Its one and only job, to make sure America was never surprised like that ever again. So what was the Pentagon's big idea? Well, they essentially created an agency of mad scientists. Seriously. ARPA wasn't going to be some stuffy government department buried in paperwork. No way. It was designed from the get-go to be totally different. Lean, fast, and basically a playground for the Pentagon's most out there, riskiest ideas.
And their mission was, well, unique is putting it lightly. Their official mandate was to go after high-risk, high-gain, far-out basic research. Think about that. This wasn't about, building a slightly better tank. This was about funding the crazy, long-shot ideas that might not pay off for decades, if they ever paid off at all. The kind of stuff that normal military research and development just wouldn't dare touch.
So you might be wondering, how did they actually pull this off? The model was honestly kind of brilliant. For starters, ARPA was independent. It cut through all the red tape by reporting directly to the top dogs at the Defense Department. And here's the key. It didn't build its own giant labs. Instead, it just went out and funded the smartest people it could find wherever they happened to be, at places like MIT and Stanford, or in private companies. And their goal was twofold. One, prevent strategic surprise. And two, maybe even more important, create it.
Okay, so with this super unique setup, ARPA's researchers got to work building stuff that, frankly, most people thought was completely impossible. I'm talking about ideas that sounded like they were ripped straight from a science fiction novel. Things like communication networks that could survive a nuclear war, and even machines that could actually think.
Let's take a look at probably their most famous project, the ARPANET. The whole idea came from pure Cold War paranoia, right? They wanted to build a communications network that was so decentralized that it could actually survive a nuclear attack. Just think about that. And what did it end up becoming? Well, it became the foundation for the global internet that you and I use every single day. The irony is just, it's incredible. But they didn't stop there, not by a long shot. ARPA also became the #1 funder for this radical, kind of weird new field called artificial intelligence. They just poured money into the work of these visionaries, guys like Marvin Minsky at MIT and Herbert Simon at Carnegie Mellon. These guys genuinely believed they could build machines that could reason just like a person. And this belief, this conviction, it led to some pretty amazing moments. Here's a great little story. A computer program that Simon and another researcher, Alan Newell, developed, it actually came up with a new, even more elegant proof for a mathematical theorem. They were so blown away that when they submitted the paper for publication, they listed the computer program as a co-author. But get this, the journal editor rejected it. He totally missed the point that a machine had just done something genuinely creative and scientific.
Now, this quest for AI, it needed a ridiculous amount of computing power. Just to give you an idea, by the 1990s, the supercomputers they were building for this kind of research, like the Cray YMP-90, were cranking out over 2.67 times billion operations every single second. That's just a mind-boggling number.
And when you have that kind of speed, you run into some pretty extreme problems. For instance, the Cray YMP-90 worked so fast and generated so much heat that it could literally melt itself from the inside out. So the solution was this wild internal liquid cooling system. But here's my favorite part. The whole machine was this really distinctive purple color.
So what did the researchers nickname this monumentally powerful supercomputer? Barney. Yep, like the purple dinosaur from TV.
Okay, so let's bring this all back to today. Let's talk about the world we inherited from all this crazy, high-risk military research. Because once you see it, you'll realize the fingerprints of these Cold War projects are on pretty much every piece of tech you use.
I mean, the lines are so direct. ARPANET, that nuclear-proof network, that became the internet. Project Transit, this satellite navigation system they helped build for the Navy, that's the granddaddy of the GPS in your phone. All that early AI research, that's the groundwork for Alexa and Siri. And all those powerful military computers, they push forward the development of the microprocessors that are in, well, everything.
So what's the big takeaway here? What's the point of all this? It's that the technologies that absolutely define our modern world, the internet, AI, GPS, they didn't get their start in some Silicon Valley garage. They started as these huge, ambitious, government-funded research projects trying to solve completely different problems. They are the incredible, world-changing side effects of that high-risk, high-gain thinking.
And that really leaves us with one last kind of mind-bending question to chew on. If the mad science of the Cold War gave us the digital world we have today, what kind of far-out, high-risk research is being funded right now that's going to build the world of tomorrow? It's something to think about, right? Thanks for tuning in.